Our first stop of the 2021 Tomwashere Halloween haunt season, 100 Acres Manor in Bethel Park, PA, and Tom was here. Hello out there wherever you are. As for me, I am here to check out 100 Acres Manor back there. Now, I have not been to this haunt. This is supposed to be one of the top haunts in the Pittsburgh area, and I've never actually been here. So definitely one I wanted to check out. Definitely one I was very curious about. Definitely one I heard very good things about. So we're gonna step inside and check out all that 100 Acres Manor has to offer. Now, unfortunately, we cannot film inside. So I'm gonna do a detailed review on it after I get out. But I give the old college try. I asked to film and was politely told no. So we're gonna check it out, and we're gonna do a review of 100 Acres Manor and let you know what I thought of it. But first, let's check a little bit of the outside. This video is an experiment of sorts, as I'm actually alternating footage between my phone and the Canon G7X Mark II. So yeah, if you watched the Halloween haunt series last year, I wasn't thrilled with some of the darker elements that came out of the haunts from last year filming on the iPhone. It has a naturally darker image. This is the Canon G7X Mark II, which I've actually had for a long time, but wasn't brave enough to use it for YouTube. But I'm going to try that out this year and probably for future vlogs and things as well, because it does produce a better, significantly better low light image. Okay, so let's talk 100 Acres Manor. Well, first of all, they have a few different tiers of pricing. We chose general admission. It was $27. It was not a super busy night, and even with it not being a super busy night, we waited an hour. We waited 1 hour to get in there, and we were kind of in the first, we were right next to the building is where we started out at. So keep that in mind, because the express passes, I believe, were $40. So $27 for general admission, $40 for express pass, and I think we would have shaved about 45 minutes off of our wait time. So definitely something to consider there. Also, and I don't know how this works through, I assume through all of haunt season, for a $50 tier, which is $10 more, but obviously it's $50, you do get a free 100 Acre Manor hoodie. Now, it is your basic Gildan hoodie, but keep in mind, if you were going to do front of the line access, you might as well spend the extra $10 and get a hoodie, because even with the junkiest hoodie possible, you're not getting a hoodie for $10. So, let's talk about the haunt. They call it 6 separate attractions. Really, it's one walkthrough, but that walkthrough is considerable. You walk what they said is the equivalent of a mile. It's 6 separate haunts, but it is about a 50 minute experience. This is my first time I've ever been at 100 Acres Manor, and I was really blown away by the amount of detail that's in this haunt. And in fact, there may be too much to look at, if that's possible. There are times when you're looking at, maybe a scare actor that came out and scared you and missed a giant large-scale animatronic that's kind of like teetering above you or coming down in on you. So you can miss a lot going through this haunt. It requires repeat visits, is definitely something I would say. more than one trip, or maybe an every year trip, but I don't know, I assume they change it around every year. I'll be honest, I don't know how they operate in that regard, whether it's certain things are different, or it's kind of different, or all of it's different. I wouldn't assume all of it's different, but maybe some of it's different year to year. But they have a lot to work with, and even in rooms where there's not a lot of scare actors, there's either animatronics, or there's dolls, or there's things. There's a lot going on in this haunt, a whole lot. So in regards to scare actors, there was a good bit of scare actors spread out through the haunt, but I will say this, and this could be a foreboding sign of things to come, is that there were a lot of areas where you could see like false windows or trap doors or things like that where there should be people and there weren't people. That doesn't necessarily mean that there were noticeable dead spots, because I do feel that when there were certain people that worked multiple areas of a room where they haunt, you know, they give you a scare and then they come around through like a backside and give you a scare again. They're really good at doing that, but you could see like, it's like how many people in in a couple years past, like pre-COVID times, how many people did they have throughout this haunt? Because I'd say it's probably like, and I could be wrong on this and they can correct me, like 25 to 30, but it probably should be like 60. So each of the 6 themed haunts do have kind of their own theming associated with it. The first one was very unique. It was kind of like a plague, a London plague with like werewolves and, you know, other type of stuff. Then you moved into a almost like a biohazard science lab, space lab hybrid thing, which then turned into a voodoo kind of like graveyard crypt, which then turned into was it the boat thing that was like a kind of like a nautical themed like boat shantytown type area, or am I getting them mixed up? Then one was like kind of like a almost like a, I think the last one was like a Halloween, like going through like a house, almost like a scary movie type thing. So there was definitely a wide variety of them, and I feel like I missed one or two. But that's the thing with 100 Acres Manor, is you're getting a lot kind of thrown at you in various different ways. I mean, large scale animatronics coming down from on high, things coming, you know, from below and nearby, and stuff shooting and, you know, smacking and breaking and popping, and certain water features in certain areas. I mean, there was a lot to take in there. And, you know, the person that was like kind of doing the queue line said that 100 Acres Manor is one of the top 10 in the United States for haunts. Now, I don't know who rated that. I don't know what the rating system is, but I can understand that. It is a high level attraction, and there's a lot, they do a lot to fill the space where there's no like dead areas. There's no areas where you feel like, oh, you know, there really wasn't anything in that room. Like, they fill it with a ton of different stuff, like either little creepy dolls or stuff like that, stuff that's not moving. Sometimes a lot of it wasn't moving, but it was better when, you know, you had to guess in several different ones. You had to guess which of these things is alive. That was the game that was played. So like, there'd be 6 things and they'd be standing there very still against the wall, and one of them's human, and you know that one of them's human, but you don't necessarily know which one. But what a start. What a start for Tomwashere Halloween haunts for 2021. I've been trying to go to 100 Acres Manor now for about 5 years, and every time plans kind of fell through and didn't work out. We're gonna go last year, obviously it was shut down because of COVID. The last few years we were gonna try to make it like a work event, and that never seemed to work out. But 100 Acres Manor, I get why the reputation precedes it. You know, when you go up and you see the building and you kind of see it, you're not really prepared. It doesn't really look like, as cool as it looks from outside, it doesn't look like it has all the stuff it actually has in it. There's a lot of space that they are filled, you know, kind of like, you know, both inside and outside. You're both in and out at various points. And there are times that there's a level of immersion that I can only explain in terms of people who have been to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. For people that have been to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, there's a level of immersion where you forget just for a moment that you're in a theme park, that you're, you know, in like a, you know, Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Orlando or Universal Hollywood, and just for a moment you're in Stranger Things, or you're in Ash vs. Evil Dead when we went, or you're in The Purge or The Shining or whatever. Just for that level of immersion does happen at 100 Acres Manor. At least one in each of the haunts where there's enough detail and they pump in smells to kind of, you know, add to that level of immersion for you to be, you know, if you're in this outside area, they're pumping in like a grass smell or like an evergreen tree smell, or if you're in the slums of London or somewhere, there's like a stink, you know, there's like a smell in the air, you know, they add to that level of immersion. You don't necessarily get that at other haunts. You don't even necessarily get that sometimes at Halloween Horror Nights. But I really did enjoy this haunt. It's definitely money well spent. I do feel you're getting a lot of bang for your buck, even though it is one of the more expensive haunted house experiences in the area. I get why people come back year after year, just because of that level of detail, just because of that level of immersion. It's definitely something that people, it's definitely something that you should check out if you've never checked it out before. I know that this is people's premier haunt. This is the one they go to every year. They might go to one haunted house, and this is the haunted house they go to. And if that's the case, I completely understand why. But I thought it was that level good. I thought it was top notch. I thought everything was handled well. Even though they had dead spots, there was something to see going on there. Whether it was an animatronic, whether it was a noise or a sound or an effect, there was always something going on. And it added to the experience. Because when you walk into something, knowing that you're in a park, you're in a public park, and you know, you feel like you're on a boat, or you feel like you're in a little shanty town, or you feel like you're walking through the streets of London, or you feel like you're walking through some abandoned space station. If you feel that, they've done their job. And if you get scared, I had a situation where I wouldn't say I was scared, but I tend to get startled and then laugh because I think it's funny that I got startled. But there was a point where I didn't get scared, but when something was like coming at me from an unexpected place, coming right at my face, like I happened to just stop and didn't see it until it was too late, like it curved up and was aiming right for my face, like just perfect timing. And like I said, it was stuff like that where, you know, I would bump into things, stuff that was like, you know, just because there was so much going on in the hallways, so much going on top of everything else, that I do feel it is worth the trip to go check that out if you were in the Pittsburgh area. It's definitely one that I can see why it's so popular. Is it top 10 in the United States? Perhaps. I have not visited hardly many haunted houses in the United States, so I can't speak for that, whereas others can. I can say it's very, very good. I can say it's worth the price of admission. I can say I enjoyed it. Now, with 100 Acres Manor, there is an add-on experience called the Maze. The Maze is a, you know, they have a few different, like a couple creepy clowns, a chainsaw guy in the maze, but I can tell you, on good authority, that we have 3 people go into that maze, and one, my friend Todd, got out right away. And me and Matt were cluelessly looking around for about 20 minutes. The maze is an add-on for $8. Is it worth $8? If you get stuck in there for a long time like me and Matt did, yes. If you got out as quickly as Todd did, no. Now, we were there at Haunted Hills Estate with the wait, with the haunted house, and just sitting there waiting for some food for a little bit. We got fries, and then for the maze for about 3 hours. 3 hours is a pretty solid haunt experience, I would say. Usually most haunts, I would say you get out within, you know, an hour to an hour and a half. Maybe if you're, you know, kind of waiting around, kind of seeing all you can see, sometimes, you know, even less than that. Sometimes it's 20 minutes. Sometimes it's a half hour. You really don't know what you're going to get from a haunt, but this one, 3 hours we were there, through an hour-long wait, through an hour-long haunted house experience, or 45, 50 minutes to an hour. Waiting for food was like 20 minutes, and then the maze for us was 20 minutes, which should take anyone else about 5. Now, we did take our sweet time through the haunted house. Felt like I missed out on certain things. Felt like a repeat trip would be nice to go check it out, but haunt season's hot and heavy this year. We got a lot of haunts to go to, so I'm not going to be able to probably make it out to 100 Acres Manor again for this season, but I really dug it. That'll wrap it up from 100 Acres Manor. A really cool experience in that haunted house. Definitely one that it was cool, I think, to get to that earlier in the season, because I'll bet it gets real busy later in the season, like really busy. But you know, it is a hot September night, but there's a lot to see and do in there. About 45 minutes you're walking through that, and they say you walk about a mile, which, you know, I feel it. Up, down, changes, floors moving, stuff's moving around. There might even be too much to see, but that's not a knock, that's a compliment. But that'll wrap it up from 100 Acres Manor. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you're new here, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to support me on Patreon like John Bailey did, you can do so. Link is in the description below. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt, you can do so at Spreadshirt, as well as links to my eBay store, new Facebook page, Instagram, and Clubhouse. But when it comes to 100 Acres Manor, I can say, my name is Tom and I was here. Thanks for watching, like, and subscribe. Bye, everyone.